Oh my God, you guys, I have a sexy, beautiful woman in studio.
Get ready for the real estate show that takes you across the barriers and into the danger zone. That Bitchin' Real Estate Podcast with your host, Tenacious T.
Yes, that is me as a cartoon. I love
it. That's awesome.
So, obviously, this is Kimberly Toko, Tenacious T. We have my lovely co-host.
Haley Schuster, the Blue Line Agent.
And the sexy, hot, beautiful woman to my right is...
I am TessaaBellaa.
And you brought a little friend who's also sexy and beautiful.
My name's Danielle Walworth. I'm friends with Tessa from a couple years back, and now we kind of just do life together.
Yes.
I
around today.
That?
Yeah.
Do we have, do you actually maybe podcast about this? Or I know you're talking about opening a podcast.
So my podcast is going to launch at the end of this month, and she's going to be on it with me every now and then.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, you might as well, since we're on the subject, what is the name of your podcast?
It's called the TessaaBellaa Show. So
oh my God, I love it.
I had a bunch of different kind of ideas for names, but that one I felt like it stuck. That's my brand. That's my, everything I've built kind of around just my personal brand. So I figured, why not?
So if someone wanted to stalk you right now, what do they look up?
They look up TessaaBellaa on Instagram with 2 A's.
Okay.
And that's honestly the root of everything that I do. I document every piece of my daily life on Instagram.
I love it.
And that's kind of where you can follow along the whole journey.
Okay, so I'm 47. We have a sprite young, is it 31 now?
No, I'm 35.
35. God, you just look so young. So a lovely lady in her 30s, and you guys are in your 20s. So this is fascinating.
I know. I'm like, would people actually want to watch my life? Probably not.
So have you seen the movie Back to the Future?
No.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
It's a shame.
Now we are really old.
Okay, you have an assignment.
Okay.
Well, back in the 50s, if you would have went with your portable VHS camera and set it down, they would be like, this is an entire television studio. Well, for you guys, what I see with you guys is you've turned your phones into a reality TV show.
That is what I say.
Yeah.
So I teach a lot of Instagram classes, particularly for real estate agents, but also any entrepreneurs, because I have a marketing agency as well. So I do a lot of coaching and classes around that. And that's what I always say is people doubt that they can hop on social media. And I say, just think of it like your own reality show.
Yeah.
Just start documenting what you're already doing. And when you're not used to it, it can feel weird. It can feel like, oh, I don't know if people want to see this. But then once you start doing it, people get super invested in the daily actions. Like me walking my dog, I'll do a boomerang of her little butt wagging, and people love it.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Back when Facebook Live first started, Facebook Live, I'll have to find that post. I actually said, I am not interesting enough to go live.
And
Come to find out I'm a little bit interesting. But it is daunting to think about. Even with someone who has a lot to say, it's like you get that camera and you're like,
It's so true. Sometimes I'll plan out what I want to say, and then the second that button goes live, I'm like, oh my gosh, it just all disappeared, and you kind of just have to roll with the punches.
Yes. So what advice would you give? Because sometimes I do want to delete that. I was just like, oh, that was so terrible. I'm just going to delete it. But part of me says just leave it because it's human. What's your advice in that?
Absolutely. I always say there's power in polarity. And I think polarity comes oftentimes in those imperfect moments. So when you trip over your words or you're nervous or something like that, and you can hear it in your voice, I think that humanizes it. People feel like they can connect to that, and they actually digest it a lot more clearly because it's relatable. They don't need something to always look polished and perfect in order for it to really have an impact.
Yeah. And Haley, you've gotten more comfortable with the whole stories.
Yep, I'm trying.
And postings. But you yourself have found your most popular posts are?
Usually about my kids, my crazy kids, but the real ones, not the, my kid's perfect. It's more like, my kid dropped an F-bomb in the right way. My kid on the foosball table missed the ball and went, oh, and everybody loves that.
Right. And then they're looking at you, do you have whiskey in his bottle too? But it's So relatable for sure. Danielle.
For me, I kind of use my social media as maybe I would say a comical outlet. I guess like my most popular stuff has always come from me being funny or me making fun of myself. Like I'll just put the worst photos you've ever seen on my story of me, and people just think it's super funny, but that's also just super me.
I love that.
I'm totally just like always gonna be 100% myself, and that's kind of how I've always just used social media.
And I guess we should clarify that we are all real estate agents, but Danielle, you are...
Yes, so I actually have a corporate role at Amazon. And so I work an odd schedule, which is why I have some weekdays off. But yeah, that's kind of what I do right now. So it's a bit different.
This one makes the big bucks at the table. Nice.
I wouldn't say so.
This is why we love talking about business and ideas and stuff, because she has such a different viewpoint on it coming from the corporate world, but has such an entrepreneurial spirit that I think it's cool to have that combine.
I totally agree. My coach that I have hired in the past, he had been in real estate, but he has a mastermind of many different business owners, and only one person in that room is a real estate agent. Because, I mean, we can vomit out the same stuff all the time, but until you reach out for those little nuggets from the other successful people in their lines of business, you're really not going to grow beyond what your immediate circle is.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that you said that, because I also work with a coach who's not at all in real estate. There is one other girl within my mastermind group who is kind of in the real estate space in a bit of a different way than I am. And it's so cool. I've learned so much more about sales and marketing from learning in other industries. Yeah. And now taking that and applying it to real estate gives me such a competitive edge, because I'm looking at that sales process in a different way.
Yeah, totally. And usually I do stalk my guests that come on, and I know all about their production. I did a brief oh my gosh, who is she? I wasn't quite prepared. But you're kicking ass in the real estate world. So I would say you've probably sold a house or two. And you're with My Home Group?
I am.
Yeah, love those guys. Really great family feel. They really do include agents in everything they do. And they're just gotten huge. What are they now as far as?
I think they're over 2,000 agents. Yeah. And it's growing into new markets. They've really started to tackle some new markets, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, well, I have a series of questions that I ask all of my guests. And here we go. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay. So when you're reading an MLS description or writing an MLS description, what is your favorite word?
Oh, man, that's a great question. Is this sarcastic?
Because this is just throw it out there.
Whatever you want to make it.
You just be your reality show you.
Okay, let me think. Breathtaking, I see all the time, and it just kind of makes me want to just curl up into a little ball.
You're like, an old person wrote this,
right? And most of the time, it's the least breathtaking thing. It's like you've got purple carpet, and it's like you can smell the smell of the house through the photo.
Breathtaking views of the street light.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So that is not a major love of mine. Gosh, I'm trying to think of a favorite.
Oh, well, hold on. There's another question coming.
Okay, follow up.
So along the same lines, what is your favorite MLS descriptive word?
Okay. I would say I love using the word cascading. Like when I'm describing countertops, I always use cascading.
Haley, write that one down. This is really why we ask these questions. We're trying to improve our descriptions.
I'm pulling up MLS
Cascading. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you can't use that with every house.
You can't, but I think you can use those kind of descriptive words that most people don't pull in.
Right.
Like writing is one of my passions. When I was little, I used to just literally write pages and pages of letters, and I'd have my parents circle if it made any words, and then I would take those words and turn it into a story. So writing has always been something it's my favorite form of communication.
I'm there too. I'm a big storyteller.
Kim's writing a book right now.
Yeah, I'm almost done with my first novel. I did see a children's book published, but then the publisher went bankrupt. It is still on Amazon though.
Hey, Amazon.
Yeah. So no, for me it's therapeutic. I feel like I write so much better than I speak, and I can really express what I'm feeling or the idea through writing. I just love it. I have lost the time to read lately, hoping to get back into that. But I love that too.
But that's a great part of having so much audio content nowadays. Yes. I do a lot with audiobooks. I still enjoy the smell of like a good book.
Yeah.
But audiobooks are typically what I resort to.
I've done that too, especially on road trips. But there is that certain something about the book.
Very
itself.
different.
Yeah. Okay. So you wake up in the morning and you've got all these things that you've got to get done. And there's those days where you're just like, ugh. What turns you on? What do you do to have that vibrant person you need to be throughout the day?
So I'm big on routines. I'm a very routinist person. I love to wake up, and I almost always start my day with some sort of like motivational talk, usually between 5 and 15 minutes. And sometimes they're so cheesy. It's like Tony Robbins yelling at you in the morning. But I don't know what it is. It sets my head right in the right place to just have this kind of like fiery excitement. And I have to say also, I think when you have such a mission and such a message that you want to share, like I wake up in the morning ready to go. I have an alarm that goes off, but like most of the time I am wide awake. I don't even need my coffee, and I know exactly what I want to do that day.
I love that.
So just kind of, I think that inner fire, I don't know if you can give that to someone else. I think you have to find it within yourself.
You do. And I think the generation your age in the 20s, my oldest son is 23. You guys are moved by inspirational speaking people. I think this is what has powered the whole coaching world, right? When I was young, especially, I mean, we didn't have that.
Well, and people almost joked like, yeah, go get a self-help book.
Yeah.
And now people are like, I want all the self-help books. Give them to me.
When Chicken Soup for the Soul came out, I mean, I think I was in my late 20s when that came out. And I was like, I'm not... No, come on. But now it's just, if I would have known back then that the whole coaching thing would have been this multi-million-dollar business, I would have started studying.
Yeah. For me, it's also, so one of my favorite speakers is Inky Johnson. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him.
No, but Haley, can you write that down?
He's amazing. And he's gone through, I mean, most of the people who are speakers have gone through some shit. Like, which everyone has.
I think you qualify, Kim.
I think I do, yes.
As do I. You know, I've had quite my fair share of dealings in life, and to just be able to listen to something where someone is so excited and so fired up, I feel like I'm surrounding myself with my people. Like that's how I feel. And it's not always that you come across other people that have that same kind of fire for what they're doing. So listening to that makes me feel like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. If they can do it, I can do it. And it just kind of fires me up.
It's the people you surround yourself with.
Exactly. And that 100%. Can be online. It doesn't always have to be in person.
Yes, it does. But I'm kind of old-fashioned. That's why we're all in the same room. There's something about the energy that feeds off. All right. So along those same lines, you're waking up and certain things happen throughout your day or certain people rub you the wrong way. What turns you off? What is the big thing that is just like,
My biggest thing that drives me nuts is people who complain about a situation but do nothing to fix it. I hear people all the time, whether it's a physical thing, they're like, oh, my stomach hurts from drinking too much, caffeine or something. I'm like, then stop doing it.
Yeah.
Like,
put the coffee down.
Yeah. Or they're unhappy with like the income that they're making. And I'm like, then do something about it. Learn sales, push yourself, do something.
I've experienced, so I do mentor and I coach because people just reach out to me. And I have experienced that where you're constantly reminding them, then stop doing it. I told you to stop doing it. Why are you still doing it?
No excuses.
No, I don't want to hear it anymore. Stop doing it. And I mean that in a very kind way. But when you look to your inspirations and they're telling you one thing, you need to listen to it, especially if you're trying to be like them and achieve something like them. And you've absorbed that at such a young age. I love that. But it's absolutely right. It's that constant, they feed on it, and I feed on energy and positivity. Don't have time for it.
And sometimes being in like a coaching or mentorship role, I have to catch myself in the way that I deliver that message. Because for me, I'm a cut and dry person. Like things are black and white. If something sucks, change it. That's my mentality. But I understand that some people are a little bit softer in the way that they get to that point.
Yes.
So I have to be cautious with the way that I deliver that message, because mentally I'm like, then
Right.
Yeah. Like, why are we still talking about this?
That's probably why I don't charge, because at some point I'm going to be like, stop doing it.
yeah, exactly.
No, I love that. This is my favorite question. My audience knows this. Haley knows this.
Yeah.
And it's okay. We will bleep this out, which you've already said some swear words. What is your favorite curse word?
Oh, I just love a good
We all love
That
I don't think Sneaky Big has a big enough room for all of the guests coming back for episode 36 on its many uses.
you really can. It's interchangeable with any word.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the day we start bringing that onto the MLS, honestly.
Oh yeah. That house.
This house.
It does. That's our favorite way.
It has but it's cheap. All right.
had to. You wanted all the uses.
It was
We
the
did a
house
full
used
rounds.
for porno. Okay. We could go on.
We're spiraling.
I love it.
Okay, so this is a little more, I want you to really think personally when you're sitting in a space. What noise or sound do you love?
That's a great question. I kind of love the ringing of silence. I know that sounds a little wild, but there is a sound to just sitting in a totally silent room.
Haley, I feel like I'm speaking to myself. Am I speaking to myself? This is
Literally,
so strange.
our last guest said the thing he hates the worst is silence, and Kim was saying that she needs silence.
I do. Especially, so this year for me has been I've gone through some of the most traumatic experiences. A lot has gone down this year. And I found that for a while I was really dependent on other people. Not for anything specific other than just being around it and feeling like that validated me. And so since going through everything I've gone through this year, it was big for me to fall in love with being alone. Yeah. I love being alone, like spending time just sitting with yourself, actually touching base with what you're thinking or feeling. Even if that's nothing at the moment, I think you learn so much in that space.
For the longest time, I go to lunch on my own. I go see movies on my own. I will go out of town on my own. There's a certain part of silence where you're forced to have company with yourself.
And that can be uncomfortable for people.
Very, very. Also forces you to figure out why that is uncomfortable.
Yes. I actually had a mentor who challenged me to do one of the hardest things I've ever done, but it's absolutely transformed the way that I view my business and my life and everything. He had me literally leave my phone, everything, not take a single thing other than a debit card and a notebook. And he said, I want you to get in your car. Don't turn on any music. Don't put any maps on. Like, don't have your phone even with you, and just drive and just go somewhere and sit and write about how that makes you feel. And I ended up going all the way up. Like, I just got on 7th Street and just drove north. Like, I don't even know where I ended up. I just drove for like an hour and a half. And then I found this little motel and I just got a room for the night. And I just sat there. I didn't watch anything. I didn't listen to anything. I just wrote. And it was huge. It was so transformational. That first 20 minutes of the drive, I was so fidgety. I was like, oh my gosh, I need music. I need something. Stimulate me. I was thinking like all of these things were going on. And then I started to really come into just like loving the peace that I was having with myself. And it was really cool. It was emotional actually, because it really brought up a lot.
That's why when you see the John Cheplicks and the Sean Whalens of the world, that's why you do see them outside. That's why you do see them totally disconnect, because you got a taste of that euphoric feeling of, I call it freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah. What noise or sound do you hate?
Okay. Oh my gosh. Well, this kind of goes along with this weird thing, but I really hate when somebody like will touch my leg or touch my hand and just like rub it. Like, it drives me absolutely insane.
Like,
if I'm
like this feeling?
Yes. And that sound just makes me like, ugh.
Interesting.
It's the same thing with like if somebody's holding my hand and they're like doing the thumb thing, I'm like, stop.
My husband should have dated someone like you, because he can't stand holding hands, and because for that same reason, he's just
I like holding hands though. Like, I like the just steady, lock in and just.
Well, we might as well clarify this now. Are you in a relationship?
I am not.
Okay, so if you're going to date her, don't do any rubbing of the thumb or forearms.
Yes, none of
while
that,
you're
please.
Dating. This is, again, a question that I truly enjoy because it says a lot about the person. I want you to think about a celebrity, famous person, dead or alive. If you could have dinner with them, who would it be and why?
It would be Inky Johnson, the speaker that I mentioned earlier. He is just, the way that he delivers the message that he shares is so, it's like music to my ears. Like that could be one of my favorite sounds is listening to him speak. Just the way that he delivers a message. And it's not even that the things he says are that profound. It's the way that it's delivered. And it's, I don't know, also there's just some synergy with, I hear it whenever I really need to hear it. So maybe that's part of why it hits home so much. But he is still alive and I would love to have dinner with him and just pick his brain.
Inky Johnson, are you listening?
And she is really, really cute. Obviously extremely intelligent, but she's cute too. I love the fact that you want to be with someone that inspires you. And it sounds like because you would love to be able to emulate what he's giving.
Absolutely. I want to make other people feel the way that makes me feel when I listen to him. Or Tim Story is another one who's incredible. I actually was fortunate enough to have dinner with him.
Really?
And he's incredible. Same kind of thing, just the way that he says what he says. One of his main points that he shares often is your mess is your message. And I love that. Like when I heard that, I took that on.
Oh, I have quite the message. Ooh, I'm not sure if it's a good one.
and he has a lot of things like that, you know, like respect where you are in your journey and use that as what you can display and use that to help other people. And so for me, I aspire to make people feel the way I feel when somebody speaks that into me.
Haley and I talked earlier, and it was a military saying, a Marine saying that I heard from Dom Fawcett.
Embrace the suck.
Embrace
I
the
like
suck.
that.
Yeah.
That's how they get through boot camp. Like Hell
Embrace
Week,
the
it's embrace the suck. Like don't bitch about it. Like you got to get through it. You know you do. So just embrace the suck.
I like that. That's a good one. My business coach also the other day, because I take, when something doesn't go as planned, I have a tendency to take it very personally.
Oh, yeah.
My business is my life. And when I don't deliver to the standard that I want to, like I take it on heavily and I'm working on that. And one of the things she told me was failure is feedback. And I was like, I love that, because so often being cut and dry, being a very black and white person, something doesn't go as planned. And I'm like, that was a failure. And I'm learning to now shift that to more so, okay, there's feedback to be taken from that situation. It wasn't an all out failure. It was something that didn't go as planned, but I can now take that, learn from it, and be better.
Walt Disney is famous for seeing failure as a success. Have you seen the movie Meet the Robinsons?
I have not.
That is your assignment, along with Back to the Future. Might want to split those up. It almost is the story of imagination and how failure brings you to success. And I'm a huge Disney girl anyway. But it's just interesting to me to see success from the 40s and 50s and how it's evolved to the same message, just, you know, in the social media world. We do a series, Haley and I, called Safe Haven Sundays, and this month is Suicide Awareness Month. I did lose my 13-year-old son to suicide. Done a lot this month on talking about that, but it's intriguing to hear such a young person say that they've been hit hard in their life. And if you're open to it, you were saying this last year has been a struggle. Do you want to share any of that and maybe tell your audience, my audience, what you did to get through that moment?
Yes, I'm super open about talking through what I've gone through, and I say that it's kind of my continued rehabilitation of sharing that story, because a lot of times when something happens, we just want to push it away and you don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
But I think to get through things, you have to get through them, and that includes feeling
Embrace the suck.
Yes, embrace the suck. That's a good one. So this year, I had a business partner. We were in a relationship for almost 6 years.
Oh, dear.
Yes. So we had everything together, like home, personal, business, everything was all very intertwined. And
during those 6 years, let's remember, I'm sorry, what's your exact age?
I'm 23.
23. So during those 6 years, we're talking not even through high school yet. So you're still developing, even right now, you're developing who you are as a human, and your brain is absorbing everything. So from a very young age, you were in this set life already.
Yeah. So I was very much on a path, and that was the direction that I was going. This year, business-wise, has been one of my biggest years ever, and I thought that we had very shared goals and aspirations. And I've run into this with friendships before, but never, ever could have thought this would happen in the relationship and partnership I was in.
Yes.
But dreaming too big, it scares people. When you have huge-ass dreams, sometimes that makes people really uncomfortable. And
You want to know why?
Why?
Especially coming from a very young person, it's almost like you're crazy. And it feels so foreign to them that they start to separate themselves because of fear.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of truth to that. So I was kind of blindsided in April by the split of our relationship, and a lot of things were very hurtful and very I think the biggest thing was the shock factor. Like, I had no idea that was coming at all. And then my life really got flipped upside down because I was so on this trajectory of what I thought I wanted and what I thought I was sharing with somebody, to then have that uprooted. I mean, my world was rocked. I spent nights on people's couches. I then got this new apartment and slept on the floor with a towel as my pillow for a couple days because I had nothing. Right. I was just uprooted, and that was humbling.
Yeah.
To say the least. But also, it helped me fall in love with just me and love being on my own. And I found so much strength in the fact that I could pick up the pieces and put them back together 10 times greater than they were before they were broken.
That's called wisdom.
And look at you. Now you're having your most successful year yet.
I am. Right? Yes. Things have, honestly, ever since I released something that I probably never would have taken myself out of.
It takes most people 50 years to reach that level of self-trust, self-discovery,
to know,
and self-love.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
So take me to the very, very worst day. Maybe it's right after that happened, whatever, that one moment where I don't know if you're sobbing. I don't know if you're trying to be alone in your car, that type of thing. What pushed you through? Did you have any thoughts of just quitting? And
absolutely.
If you wouldn't mind sharing that, I think it's very important for young people to hear. Very, very important.
Yes. I have actually experienced many times in my life where I felt like I just wanted to quit. I grew up in Oregon. I experienced a lot of suicide very close to me. And Oregon naturally is a depressing place. I mean, it's gorgeous, but it's raining every day. There's not a lot to do unless you've got
Isn't
hobbies
that where
and
the
passions.
vampires live because there's no sun or something? Yes.
No sun. So it's a very different environment there. I was in a small town. I've always had these big dreams, and especially in a little farm town, people are like, she is absolutely off her rocker.
Yeah. I
used to always say growing up, from being 8 years old, I remember saying, I feel like an alien. I'm an alien. Because I never
That's because you're special.
I never felt like I fit with anything. And so I've experienced that a lot. And I think when you have those days where you just don't want to do anything anymore and it doesn't feel worth it.
Yeah.
For me, those are the times that tapping into what I'm meant to do. I've gotten so in touch with trusting my gut.
Yeah.
Because when this all happened, there were things that I could feel in my gut. I was like, this is not right. This is not right. I felt something was off, and I was trying to say, no, just let's just wait and see. Because I was so married to what I thought I wanted and needed.
Yeah.
And so I had to fall back in love with just trusting my gut. And those are the things that you have to tap into on those dark days or on those shitty times is okay, I'm here for a reason. What is my purpose? And I think if you don't identify that it can be hard to push forward. But I'm so married to my purpose, and I know I'm here to serve on such a greater scale.
And what is the purpose?
For me, I just hope to influence millions of people to show them that you can come from ups and downs. Life is cyclical. It's always going to come in seasons. And like, I love the example of that at one point this year, I was sleeping on the floor of an empty apartment, feeling so broken, feeling so alone. And now I'm having the best year of my life business-wise. I'm still rebuilding myself emotionally. I'm still always going to be growing and recovering from some of the things that happened. But I love that comeback story. Like that stuff is so exciting to me. And I want to show that to other people too. I mean, I came from nothing. Yeah. And I love showing that you can have and build whatever you want. There is no reason not to. You can have tattoos all over your body. You can look however you want to look. Yeah. You can talk however you want to talk and have everything. There's no, and I love this in the real estate world, especially because everyone thinks you got to be like suited and booted all the time. And I'm just like,
I'm a jeans and t-shirt girl. Yeah. And there are certain incidences where, yes, we have to fulfill a role, but exactly right. I see the real estate as mainly a funding platform for my purpose. And, the youth coming in and the inspirational, because you all are inspiring to be yourselves and not really anyone else, has brought that fresh life to real estate where you don't. I love that, suited and booted. That's awesome. Haley, I'm going to be at the dinner suited and booted. Yeah, you don't like it, then don't use me. Yeah. There's another agent
and again,
two steps away.
Like, I'm not power and polarity.
No.
I love that. Like, don't be afraid. You don't have to fit in order to be successful. In fact, I think if you look at most of the most successful people, they're the ones that say, screw that. I'm going to do it my way and I'm going to make it happen. Yeah. So I love to share that to people and just like really express that message. And I also am very passionate about people understanding that you can have this crazy desire for millions and billions of dollars, and that doesn't negate the fact that you also really want to help people and really want to serve people. They're not mutually exclusive. You know what I mean? They're not two separate things. It's not one or the other. You can have it all and help and be a great person while you make all the money in the world.
It's not, I will be rich. It is, I am rich. I do have abundance. I deserve an abundance of joy in my life. And just keep saying it.
Yep. Well, because and that success a lot of times gives you the platform to help more people. Like in Kim's situation, you know, she has built this really amazing career. She's been on HGTV. That's amazing and it's so cool to say, but it just put more eyes on her for her to get her message with the suicide awareness and really eradicating the stigma of suicide. It gets her message to so many more people because so many people tune in because she's HGTV, she's Tenacious T, you know, and so just because you're like your success is helping you help people. Exactly. Like, and if someone can't see that, then screw them.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I always say I want to be famous, and there's a lot of negativity around fame. Like a lot of times people view that as, oh, well, you just want money and fame and all that stuff. For me, it's exactly what you said. To me, famous and having millions of followers and millions of people that I can impact and affect is because that gives me a greater reach. It gives me more of a platform to serve people in the way that I want to. And that can evolve and that can change. But when I have this huge community, then that's really what it is. It's a tool.
Sharing stories builds community. Communities grow leaders, and leaders share to build bigger communities.
Love that. Yeah.
And you are definitely a part of that, for sure. One more question, because I think it would be relevant before you go. If you had, let's just take a 14-year-old, and they called you and they said, I want to take my life right now, what would you tell them?
Oh, I got chills just now. Oh my gosh, this is like going to make me emotional, I think.
No, that's okay. This is important. This is what helps people, is eradicating that we can't talk about suicide and just saying, if a kid came to me, a young person, and said, I want to die right now, what would you say to them?
I think I would try to take myself back to times that it felt like that. And I remember what I was told that stuck with me so much to this day. It is, especially at that age, it can feel like what's going on in your little world is everything. whether that's inside of a high school and people are being rude to you or being mean to you or bullying you for not feeling like fitting in, or you just don't feel like the world is a good place for you anymore. I think it's important to remember that the world is so much bigger than the way you see it right now, that you're loved, you have such a mission, you're here for a reason, you were given this opportunity, and it's time to carry on. It's time to keep doing it. And then I would think it's super important for people at that age to be able to experience things outside of their world. Because that was, for me, I went through a lot of hard times in high school where I did not want to be around at all. And at all. And it was because I was so wrapped up in this world that when there's a rumor circulating about you,
well,
it feels
I'm from a small town too.
Oh my
and it's
gosh.
hard. It magnifies everything. There's that.
There's no escape from it.
Yeah,
That's
that
how it
Myranda
feels.
Lambert song, that growing up in a small town, and you're just like, you can't freaking go to the grocery store with ripped up jeans on without somebody having an opinion about it.
Yeah. So I think that to experience and see that there's more to the world than what you're experiencing then. And I always say that I'm really proud of my journey and how far I've come, but I have this insatiable hunger for more. And I think that trying to embody that ingrain that in more of our youth to see, okay, it's okay where I've come from. It's okay where I am right now, but I have to have that fire for more. I have to find that, whether that's given to me, whether that's encouraged, whether that's sports, art, whatever it is. It's going to be different for everyone, but like adopt that, marry yourself to it, and just like become obsessed with something that makes you excited every day.
Take that extreme pain that you're feeling right now and make it fuel for your fire. Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Kimberly Toko, Tenacious T.
This is TessaaBellaa.
Danielle Walworth.
And Haley Schuster, the Blue Line Agent.
And Tessa, just one more time, how do people find you and get a hold of you?
The best way to connect with me is through Instagram. It's TessaaBellaa, TessaaBellaa. So there's 2 A's on both of it. That part's not ideal, but it's what we're working with.
Awesome.
Somebody took the shortened version of that. So,
well, thanks for coming on the show. Out.